From the nation's capital, Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce. A weekly discussion about the federal issues most important to Nevada. And now, from Washington, D.C., here's Marilee Joyce.
Good day to you. I'm Marilee Joyce, and this is Eye on Washington, the only statewide Nevada news program produced in Washington, D.C. Every week, Eye on Washington takes you straight to Capitol Hill for a discussion with Nevada's delegation and other leaders about the federal matters that matter to you. Today's topic, serving those who've served us in uniform. We'll find out what one Nevada leader says needs to be done in Congress to meet the challenges facing today's veterans. And she is my guest today, Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus. Thanks for being here again.
Thank you for having me.
Nevada has one of the fastest growing veterans communities in the country. It's a huge and growing population with many concerns that involved needed action on Capitol Hill. And today on Eye on Washington, we'll tell you about the unique challenges facing veterans of all ages. We'll tell you about my guest position on the House Veterans Committee and why that membership matters to Nevada veterans. And we'll tell you about past and present congressional efforts that are helping our veterans, as well as what needs to be done. According to the Nevada Office of Veteran Services, 1 in every 6 Nevadans is a veteran, and it remains one of the nation's fastest growing states, so officials expect its veteran population to continue growing strongly. Prior to our sitting down here, the Congresswoman told Eye on Washington that her top veterans-related priorities in this Congress include ensuring veterans returning home have access to resources needed to help them find employment, housing, and health care, expanding mental health services for our veterans, and increasing support for wounded veterans and their families. The Congresswoman says her commitment to honoring our nation's military men and women is a long track record. In the 111 she sponsored legislation including an act to improve health care for women veterans, one to ensure veterans' insurance needs are certain veterans, and even one to make sure chiropractic care is available to all our veterans. And Congresswoman, I mentioned a handful of bills you worked on that became law to show a range of things. I want to start with this today. Veterans make up 1/6 of Nevada's population. What do you see as your role here on the Hill to help them out and make sure their needs are met?
Well, besides it being an honor for me to serve those who have honored all of us with their service, it's important for the district because the district in Southern Nevada has a large population of retirees, and many of those retirees are veterans. So we have veterans from all ages. In fact, there are more veterans under 65 than over, and the group, the real young veterans who are coming back, say from the Middle East, are making up an increasing percentage.
You know, when you were on the Hill previously, the recession already was going strong, but Nevada has seen the least progress as far as employment nationwide, and the job hunt is particularly challenging, isn't it, to the servicemen and women that are returning home. So specifically, as concerns Nevada's veterans communities, what can Congress do to help the job outlook for this segment?
Well, it breaks your heart to see somebody who has fought for their country overseas and then have to come home and fight for a job. It just shouldn't be that way. And I think there are a number of things that we can do to improve that. You know, there are veterans' preferences in certain kind of jobs or certain kind of businesses. We need to be sure that that is strong and enforced. Also, training programs so that veterans can learn the skills for the jobs of the future, whether it's in high tech or medical jobs or whatever that they might be. And also, I think an important thing is to be sure that we give credit for the kinds of skills that veterans have learned on the battlefield or in service. For example, you may be able to put together a tank, but you don't qualify to be a mechanic when you come home. You may have saved lives on the field, but you can't get any credit for that to be an EMT. We need to find some way to give comparable credit for experience.
You know, it's early yet in the Congress, but again, you did mention to me some of your priorities of what you hope to accomplish for veterans in the next couple of years. I'm curious about that mental health focus. What's lacking in the federal government here as far as that?
Well, when I was here before, we made a real priority to address mental health as well as physical health, because too often that gets kind of left in the shadows. But more and more we're realizing that PTSD, things like that, need to be addressed. And at the state level, too often mental health programs are cut or not funded to the extent that physical health problems are. And we know that after you come from a stressful situation like that, how can you not need some kind of counseling and help instead of just letting people leave and think they look okay, they must be okay.
You know, you also said you want to see some increasing support for wounded veterans. What do you want to focus on here?
Well, we want them to get the best medical care that is available, that we have the technology to make them whole again. They have made the greatest sacrifice. There's nothing that we shouldn't do to help them return to as normal a life as possible, and a life that is fulfilling and one that allows them to get a job or go to college or be with their family, whatever their choice might be.
Do accessibility problems exist for our veterans? I know one of the things you said you want to help the access for jobs, housing, health, etc. Are there problems here as far as accessibility, getting the resources they need, etc.?
Well, one of the main things that our office will do as constituent services is to help veterans just navigate all the paperwork for getting the benefits that they are entitled to. We have a former VA employee, a veteran herself, who is in our district office, who knows, because she's been there, to help people with that kind of bureaucratic problem, so we are sure that they get what they're entitled to.
And they can find a lot of help on your site as well, under that veterans heading as well. And when we return, we're going to talk about her position on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, how that gives Nevada veterans a voice on Capitol Hill. That's just ahead.
You're watching Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, brought to you by the National Mining Association, Caesars Entertainment, NV Energy, the LVCVA, Western Lithium Corporation, the Nevada Mining Association, Station Casinos, the Regional Transportation Commission of Washoe County, and Skyline Restaurant and Casino.
America's minerals have made us a nation of self-reliant dreamers, shaping our world and the endless ways we enjoy it. But red tape often forces us to import more than half the minerals we depend on. Minerals we already have. We don't import our dreams. Shouldn't that go for our minerals too? The National Mining Association. Learn more at nma.org.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce is Nevada's top source of federal news on television and on radio. But if you want even more Nevada-focused news from Washington, you need to subscribe to our Nevada's Washington Watch newsletter. Nevada's Washington Watch is the only publication that links Nevadans to Capitol Hill. Like our Eye on Washington program, Nevada's Washington Watch keeps you in the know on all the top federal issues that impact you, your family, and your business. Subscribe today at joycecommunications.com. That's joycecommunications.com.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly. We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
What is HOPE? It's a community's commitment to stopping violence against women and children. The Shade Tree Shelter continues to keep its doors and hearts open 24 hours a day to offer help, healing, and hope to women and families in crisis. For more information, call 385-0072 or visit www.shadetree.org. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can help save lives.
And welcome back to Eye on Washington and our discussion of One Nevada Leader's ideas on how best to serve our veterans from Capitol Hill. We've been talking to her. Her name is Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus. When you consider that almost 340,000 veterans call Nevada home, it might be a very good thing that both my guest and her colleague Congressman Amodei serve on the House Veterans Affairs Committee, adding two strong voices for Nevada veterans here on the Hill. The Committee on Veterans Affairs is the authorizing committee for the Department of Veterans Affairs. That means my guest is among those members who recommends legislation expanding, curtailing, or fine-tuning existing laws relating to veterans' benefits. It also has oversight responsibility, which means monitoring and evaluating the operations of the VA. You might call it the voice of Congress for veterans in dealing with the VA. Among its broad jurisdiction, compensation, vocational rehabilitation and education of veterans, veterans hospitals and medical care and treatment of veterans, national cemetery, readjustment of servicemen to civilian life, and pensions of all wars. Basically, Congresswoman, it's veterans affairs generally. And you served on this committee when you were on the House a couple years ago. You have experience with a lot of experience here. What I want to start with, what does oversight of the VA entail?
Well, we want to be sure that the VA is working efficiently and effectively, and that the money that's appropriated is going to the service people in the areas where they need it. Sometimes any bureaucracy may get bogged down in trying to too much paperwork, or the right hand not knowing what the left hand's doing. We want to be sure that doesn't happen.
Are there any examples of VA actions that maybe in the past you found lacking and necessitated action on your part on the committee?
Well, I'm the ranking member of one of the subcommittees because of the seniority that I have. And a recent hearing that we had looked at the VA and how it treats temporary disability, to be sure that the people who have temporary disability, if it becomes permanent, then they are paid for permanent. Those who don't have it become permanent but are cured or healed or whatever, then they transition into a different category, because there's been very little oversight of that. Some people are getting underpaid, others are getting overpaid. We need a more clean-cut policy, and that's just one little example.
You brought up the subcommittee, so let's take a look at that. And they're both particularly important to a economically struggling state like Nevada. One is, as you said, you're the ranking member on Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs, and you also serve on the subcommittee on economic opportunity. Let's start with that latter.
Well, the economic opportunity fits with what we need in Nevada. We need to create jobs, and veterans need jobs, so it's a perfect match. Sure. Anything that we can do to train veterans, to retrain veterans, to help them go to school. You know, we expanded the GI Bill to veterans of recent conflicts, to be sure they get that kind of credit that I was mentioning earlier, that they get into apprenticeship programs. I want some veterans to come and do internships in my office so that they can see how government works, because they have a lot of qualities that make them good in management, great and responsible employees, and I think good public servants. So we'll see more of them running for office, I imagine. You
know, as you said, you're the ranking member of the Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs. Since you served on the committee previously, did that kind of help you to get that top position there on that subcommittee?
Well, coming back as from the 111th Congress, then I get some seniority back, and so I was able to get that position. And I'm very proud of that, and I will work hard.
Big for Nevada. Yeah. That's fantastic. You know, again, just a little bit more on this economic opportunity. You know, unemployment remains unacceptably high in Nevada, and sure you know that as a Congresswoman better than most people. What actions does the committee, what has it taken in the past? What needs to be done to sort of help that?
Well, I think the main thing is that you just can't forget a veteran. When a person gets out of service, you've got to be sure that they're able to transition into civilian life. And a big part of that might be education, it might be job training, it might be apprenticeships. And so you can't just cut somebody off, you got to follow them through so that they are successful. And if you don't do that, then they fall through the cracks. Look how many veterans are part of the homeless population, for example, or they have a mental illness that's not being addressed so that they can get a job. I think it's all about follow through for the veteran and for the veteran's family.
All right, thanks. When we return, a focus on two issues that Nevada veterans care greatly about. That's just ahead.
Every day, thousands of people in northern Nevada don't get enough to eat. 1 out of 5 children in northern Nevada go to bed hungry every night. But you can do something about it. Catholic Community Services of Northern Nevada has been providing help and creating hope in our community for more than 65 years. By donating food, time, or money, you can make a difference in a hungry person's life. When you make your generous donation to St. Vincent's Dining Room and St. Vincent's Food Pantry, you're helping to fight the scourge of hunger in northern Nevada. In these tough economic times, now more than ever, we need to help those less fortunate. To find out how you can donate to St. Vincent's Dining Room and St. Vincent's Food Pantry, call, click, or stop by, and together we can end hunger in northern Nevada.
Thanks to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
You already watch Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's only statewide program produced in Washington, D.C. But for even more news from Capitol Hill that affects you, your family, and your business, you need to read Nevada's Washington Watch, our online newsletter. In-depth reporting on federal efforts that impact you. Our exclusive Inside the Beltway column, putting a microscope on Nevada's congressional delegation. Guest editorials about what Nevada needs from the Hill. Nevada's Washington Watch, your watch on Washington. Subscribe today at nevadaswashingtonwatch.com.
This girl is very pretty. It's inciting feelings of jealousy in me. We should pick on her.
I'm insecure about some things, so I think we should put some me stuff on here. Maybe even some lies, too.
Yeah.
I just want to be accepted by you both. So I'm going to send this to my friends so they think I'm cool.
Kids bully for all kinds of reasons. None of them are good. Find ways to get involved at flipthescriptnow.org.
How will new energy technology make our lives better? Will geothermal, wind, and solar energy be a bigger part of our future? Yes. And soon it will all be in our backyard. Learn more at nvenergy.com.
Welcome back to Eye on Washington, our discussion of top concerns of Nevada veterans and how my guest intends to help meet them here. We've been visiting with Nevada U.S. Congresswoman Dina Titus. Let's focus some more this segment on two issues particularly important to Nevada's and this nation's veterans, and that's health care and education. Regarding the former, probably the most exciting health-related news for Nevada veterans recently was last summer's opening of the VA Southern Nevada Healthcare System Medical Center. It's an issue my guest worked on when she served here in the 111th session. It has 90 inpatient beds, a 120-bed nursing home care unit, an ambulatory care center, and space for Veterans Benefits Administration offices. Wounded warriors have special needs, and another action during the 111th was the passage of the Caregivers and Veterans Omnibus Health Services Act that supports those caring for seriously injured veterans. It expands health services for veterans in rural areas, women veterans, and homeless veterans. Our delegation has worked to open community-based outpatient clinics. A fully operational clinic is in Fallon, and there are clinics operated bi-weekly in Auburn, Minden, Susanville, and Winnemucca. And then there's education for our veterans, especially important in a time when continued high state unemployment rate and at a time when more and more employers are seeking those specialized skills. Congress passed the GI Bill 2.0 in 2011. And it's good news for Nevada veterans looking to pursue higher education and strengthen jobs needed for today's jobs. The bill gives veterans the opportunity to receive in-state tuition at public institutions and up to $17,500 in tuition at private or foreign institutions of higher education. And Congresswoman, it also ensures that our National Guard soldiers and veterans are eligible to receive credit for time served, which is a very big deal.
Yes, it is.
Let's start off with education.
Well, you know, I am an educator. I've taught for many years at the. You're right. It's a subject very dear to me at UNLV, and so all that we can do to provide education opportunities, I think, is critical. Whether it's at the community college, state college, UNLV, be sure that veterans get the training that they need. You know, finish their degrees, get advanced degrees. They bring some of the best skills possible, and we need to take advantage of it.
You know, you touched on this a little earlier, but now we're tying in education. I want to know, how important is that, the GI Bill, and education in general for our veterans, especially in this rough economic climate?
Well, you know, if you can't get a job, many people go back to school. They take advantage of that downtime to get different skills or get different degrees and to get ready for when the economy changes. And you see a lot of that is happening, especially because the economy of Las Vegas is getting more high tech. Even in the existing industries like gaming, there are a lot of opportunities for high-tech jobs. We're also becoming more of a center for medical research. You know, you've got the Cleveland Clinic there, and the medical school is expanding. So things that we can do in those areas, I think people can take advantage of by going to school. And many of the soldiers who have come back from the Middle East in these current conflicts now are included in the GI Bill. And we know that originally the GI Bill was a lifesaver for so many of our veterans.
Yeah, you consider more than 2 million men and women have just come home from Iraq and Afghanistan. A lot of them are looking for jobs, so... Let's switch over quickly to healthcare. That Las Vegas Veterans Hospital, you worked on that in 2009, and previously the 250,000 or so Southern Nevada veterans, they had to go to multiple health facilities to get their care they needed. It's pretty exciting. It's all in that.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's a state-of-the-art facility. It's not in my district, but of course our veterans go there, and people will come there from all around. It's still not finished. They still have to complete some of the different services that they hope to offer, but it's a wonderful facility. We worked hard to get a clinic also in Laughlin when I was there, so that people in Laughlin don't have to come all the way to Las Vegas or go to Arizona. So some of these rural ones that you mentioned are helpful as well.
You know, we are going to wrap up the segment, the part of the show on veterans. So let me ask you, what other veteran matters have we not gotten to today that are important to you to accomplish or focus on in this Congress?
Well, you know, I did a lot of work on disability services when I was in the state legislature, so I'm glad I'm chairing that committee, because sometimes disability is something for a lifetime that you have to just, it changes your life and changes your family. So we want to be sure that that is properly addressed. And you know, we have the Veterans Cemetery in Southern Nevada, and we want to be sure that our veterans are honored with proper burials. Excuse me. And that can be a very sensitive and important part of life, is passing into death, and we want that to be done properly too.
Well, we're going to have you back to as the Congress moves along and find out what you've been able to accomplish on that.
I hope you will.
Thanks for talking about it. And just ahead, we do have our mailbag segment for you, and it's right after this.
All of us at Caesars Entertainment have something we want to say.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We don't want you to gamble if you've had too much to drink.
You shouldn't gamble if you're lonely or depressed.
And if you're under 21, you're not allowed to play.
No, no, no.
No matter which of our casinos you come to, our message is always the same.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
Play responsibly.
We know you're coming to our casinos to have a good time, and we always want you to leave feeling like you did.
America's minerals have made us a nation of self-reliant dreamers, shaping our world and the endless ways we enjoy it. But red tape often forces us to import more than half the minerals we depend on. Minerals we already have. We don't import our dreams. Shouldn't that go for our minerals too? The National Mining Association. Learn more at nma.org.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
You already watch Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, Nevada's only statewide program produced in Washington, D.C. But for even more news from Capitol Hill that affects you, your family, and your business, you need to read Nevada's Washington Watch, our online newsletter. In-depth reporting on federal efforts that impact you. Our exclusive Inside the Beltway column, putting a microscope on Nevada's congressional delegation. Guest editorials about what Nevada needs from the Hill. Nevada's Washington Watch, your watch on Washington. Subscribe today at nevadaswashingtonwatch.com.
to an ongoing commitment by America's mining companies, more than 2 million acres already have been reclaimed. To learn more about reclamation or other aspects of mining, visit nma.org, the National Mining Association.
And we're back with our closing segment of Eye on Washington. It is our mailbag segment. In this segment, we tell you about an issue our guest is receiving a lot of correspondence about on the Joyce Communications website. We read one of your letters on the air and then invite our guest to respond to you right here on the show. And Congresswoman, of course, you're getting a lot of stuff on the debt. You know, it's a big issue now, and some folks are upset about it. Some folks are just curious about it. But this is one of the favorite letters we've gotten, because I've never gotten a letter from a 9-year-old. This is from 9-year-old Ariana of Las Vegas. That's our first 9-year-old writing in. We welcome 9-year-olds. You sure?
She writes, voters someday.
Dear Congresswoman Titus, there's a lot of talk in the media about the debt ceiling and the importance of raising it, but I can't find any information about why it matters so much. Can you explain why it's important and what bad effect happens if it isn't raised or fixed right now? Thank you for your time. See, she's polite too. What do you say to a 9-year-old?
That's a pretty
Ariana?
Sophisticated question for a 9-year-old. I want her to come be an intern in my office when she grows up a little bit. Well, you know, the issue of the debt ceiling has been put off until May. We were going to address it in January now. It's in May. And what many people don't realize is that this is paying for previous debt. It doesn't have anything to do with future debt. It's kind of, Ariana, it's kind of like if you took a credit card and you went shopping at Toys R Us, and then the bill came and you didn't want to pay the bill. Well, we have to pay our bills to maintain our financial stability and our credibility and our bond rating, so we have to pay our bills. Now, addressing future spending is a whole different question. Do we need to cut spending and be more frugal and be more balanced in our approach? Yes, we do. But those are not the same questions. So think of them in different ways.
I think you helped a 9-year-old when you put it on the Toys R Us level, but it affects all of us when you put it on the credit card level.
It absolutely does. And we're going to be addressing spending cuts, being more efficient with taxpayer dollars, not raising taxes, but that's a separate question from paying the debts that have already been incurred.
But Ariana has she's got your back.
I hope so. Tell her to contact me again with another question.
You've got hers too on this. Thanks a lot. That does it for this week's Eye on Washington. Be sure to join us next time as we discuss more important federal matters and their impact on you in Nevada. You can visit joycecommunications.com or our Facebook page to find out the very latest from the Hill that affects your life. And you can follow me on Twitter. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Marilee Joyce in Washington. Good day.